What's up? Captain Safety Bake here, and today we're going to talk about something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. It's been gnawing at my brain, so I need to talk about it. Well, we're going to talk about gender, and we're also going to talk about what is adult. These things may not seem related, but trust me, they are. Today we live in a world where gender is the topic of discussion. And usually this discussion on gender has to do with what is a woman, what is a man, and all kinds of different subjects. And we live in a world with all different kinds of genders, all different kinds of ideas. But why are we here? Why is this even a topic today? Why are we talking about it? Well, there's a lot of factors involved, but one of the things I will say that I think is a big reason behind it is I do think that there are some things that we do pressure people on when it comes to gender. For one, if you're a male, you're not supposed to wear anything cute or quirky. As you can tell, I am wearing dinosaurs. I'm wearing video game stuff. There are people in society that say this isn't being a real man. This is too quirky. This is too sensitive and isn't a real man. And we often do this to kids when they're young. Boys like blue, girls like pink. But blue and pink are just colors, and guys can wear pink too. And I'm not talking about distinctive man and woman clothing. I do think clothing should be distinctive. Someone should know you're a man and someone should know you're a woman. I do think clothes should be distinctive. But there is a difference between, a guy that wants to wear a pink shirt and a woman who's wearing a pink dress. To me, they're just colors. A man should be able to wear a pink, purple, whatever shirt he wants in any color, as long as that man is distinctively a man. And the same goes for a woman. But we have these things in society that we kind of do push on women and men, especially at younger ages. If you look at kids' clothes are usually, especially if they're for boys, they're usually dinosaurs or trucks or whatever. I personally just like dinosaurs, so that's why I'm wearing this. But it's usually like sports or trucks or cars or something dealing with construction or airplanes or transportation or something. For boys and girls, it's like makeup, cleaning, unicorns, rainbows, glitter. I don't know. It's all different kinds of things. And it's like, oh, the boys should play with the construction set and the girls should play with the home set. There are things that we kind of do put on people in society. And I think because of that, we went into what I call an extreme overcorrection of that, to the point that people think, well, if I'm a boy who likes playing with Barbie dolls, then I'm now have to be a woman. When I don't think that's how it really should be. I mean, to me, if a boy's playing with Barbie dolls, I think he's normal. Here's why. Because Barbie dolls look like women. And boys are going to be naturally curious about women. So therefore, they're going to want to play with Barbie, they're going to want to play with Barbie dolls. So that's just natural. And I think if a boy were to play with a baby doll, well, that's good. Why? Because one day that boy could be a father. So he's going to learn. So he's going to have to learn what it's like to take care of a baby. So having a boy play with a baby doll is not a big deal to me. And girls, girls can wear pants. They don't always have to wear dresses. Girls could wear camo. They can wear a variety of different things. They can be into rock and heavy metal. Metal isn't just a man's thing. It could be for women too. There's a lot of things that we put on ourselves with distinctions of genders that we don't need to. But on the other hand, we shouldn't get to a place where the distinctions are gone. We should know what a man and a woman is. But we shouldn't also limit what a man and a woman is based on, what they wear. But by distinctions, I mean a man shouldn't wear a dress. If a man wants to wear something like a dress, he can wear a kilt. That's our tunic. That's close enough, our robe. That's close enough to a dress. And it's still manly. It's still a man clothing. And women can wear, say a woman sees a man's shirt that she likes and it's in her size. So what? As long as we know that that person is a woman and that is a man. And I also think that a lot of identities today, obviously, are because we live in a social media craze. It's just cool to be a certain gender. It's cool to identify as something. Why? Because that's a trend now. And kids go through these phases when they're younger, being part of a trend. I was in a goth trend, a emo trend. And so it's no surprise that now, because transgenderism and all this stuff is popular, of course, there's going to be kids that are going to get into this stuff to fit in, to be in a trend. And it's just going to be a phase. And sure, there might be some people that really think they're a woman and a man, but the problem with that is, as much as people don't like to hear this, men and women are distinctive, and they're the only way to procreate. There are exceptions. There are people who are both born with both sexes, and in that case, it is up to that person or the parents to decide how that kid is going to be oriented. But that's a rare situation. But that's different than a person who was fully male, no questions about them being a man, or no questions about them being a woman, and that they're just going to completely transition. Because you're just denying your reality. And it's hard for people to accept people who identify this way. Why? Because why should I accept you as your new identity when you couldn't accept who you were in the first place? And that may hurt some people's feelings, but the reality is the problem isn't that you should switch your gender. The problem is that you need to figure out why you feel this way in the first place. And if there's a way to get you to accept yourself for who you actually are, then you wouldn't need to identify as another gender. And I think it is because of pressures that people put on people. Oh, you need to wear this because you are a girl. You need to wear this because you're a guy. I do think there are toxic traits that we do have in our world that we do put on people. Like in church, it's expected for women to, in some churches, not all churches, to wear dresses all the time, and women aren't allowed to wear pants. But pants are neither male or female. Men can wear pants, women can wear pants. There's no big deal on this. Why make a big deal on it? I just think we live in a world where we're harming people by not allowing people to be themselves in a healthy way and not in an unhealthy way. And I think a lot of what's going on today is an overcorrection, and it's an unhealthy way of expressing a person's identity or what they're into. And I think, if we made every thought, every phase in our life our core identity, then we might as well get a surgery right now to be whatever that thing. When you're younger, you want to be a cowboy? Oh, let's get you a surgery to be a cowboy. You want to be a pirate? Let's get you a surgery to be a pirate. Want to be a fireman? Want to be a policeman? Let's just completely change your identity because you identify this. I like dinosaurs, so let me now change my gender to be a dinosaur. This is unhealthy. It's okay to have an interest, but when you take it to extremes, it's not healthy. I think we could correct this by simply allowing people to be themselves. I'm quirky. I'm a nerd. Let me, as a person, be who I am. I'm quirky. I like dinosaurs. I like video games. It's not everything of my personality, but it is a part of my personality. I like things. I like different things. I'm into different things. And I don't like people telling me who I am as a person based on a small interest I have. And I've said that a lot on this channel with a lot of other things I've talked about. One in particular being the ABDL. I'm not an ABDL and don't want to be. Never want to be. Yes, I'm an adult that wears diapers, and I'm willing to accept that, but I'm still an adult, and I want that to be how I see myself. And I think we should apply that to other things in life. If you like horror movies, should you be everything horror? If you like Doctor Who, should you be everything Doctor Who? If you like everything Star Wars, should you be everything Star Wars? I get fandoms exist, but does your whole core identity have to be something that you're into? And I think that's the problem I have with identities today. Identities consume us, and they become everything we are. But we're not supposed to be that. We're more than just that. Yeah, I identify as a Christian, and that's my identity. But see, that identity is just simply that I'm a child of God, and I'm a Christian. That's it. That's all it means. It's nothing more than that to me. It means I'm going to try to follow God, try to be living my life for God the best I can humanly possibly do. But I'm also a sinful person, so I know I struggle with sins. I know I'm not a perfect individual, so I know I'm not going to always get it right. But my point is that that's the only identity I do have. But I'm not going around constantly bugging people about me being a Christian. If you were to meet me on the street, you'd probably find out I like comic books, I like movies, I like video games. I'm just an overall nerd. And I also like music. I've been a big music head for a long time in my life. Yes, I was a metalhead once in my life too. I listened to nothing but metal. But over time, as life has gone on, I've widened my horizons and I listen to different things now. So that's why I consider myself more of a music head than a metalhead. But I would say that metal is still something I enjoy. But I'm not going around saying I'm a metalhead. I'm not going around saying these things and making them my core identity, or trying to fit in stereotypes to make myself out to be something that people are expecting me to be just because I'm into this thing. And I think that's what people do way too often. I find it funny that people often say, well, men are being toxic, so let's not be that. But then you have people that want to be transitioning into the opposite sex, and they tend to bring those stereotypes that they hated with them. They're acting out the same stereotypes. The things they thought that were toxic, they are becoming those things. Whatever gender you transition from, sometimes you embody the traits that you say you hate. But see, that goes against truly what you're fighting for. And I think it's really, the problem is that we just don't accept people being different, being a little awkward, or being a little nerdy, or being a little quirky. And because we don't accept people that way, we get into these places where we overcorrect. And maybe some people will be a certain way for the rest of their life. Like, if someone's an emo or metalhead, maybe they'll continue being that way for the rest of their life. Maybe they'll continue being a nerd for the rest of their life. Why don't we just accept that they're going to be quirky? And as Christians, as long as what they're into doesn't take them away from God or brings them to sin, then it's not an issue. And I think the same with any person, whether they're Christian or not. If they are going to go into a destructive path into this identity that our phase they're into, then we should be there loving and making sure they don't do anything to harm themselves. And see, I love people, and I talk to people in my life that I disagree with. I try to be friends with people I disagree with. And I love them as human beings, and if I'm going to tell them something, I do it out of love. So a lot of when I'm speaking here, I think a lot of people going down these routes of transitioning are harming themselves, and they're harming other people by promoting the message that you have to transition yourself if you like certain things that maybe a boy would like. If you're a girl that likes sports or something, like football or things that guys like. We used to call that tomboy. And, what if a guy is a little bit more sensitive? These people shouldn't be forced to be something they're not. They shouldn't have to go all the way to becoming another gender just because they are a little different. And I would much rather someone be happy with who they are before they transition than transition. Because that's who they really are. They may not think they are that way, but God made us all in His image. We're all beautiful people that He designed the way He wants us to be. And we should be able to accept ourselves the way we are. And even if you don't believe in God, you should accept yourself for who you are. Because you're going to find out that transitioning comes with a lot of problems, side effects. Not everything that goes in to transitioning is good. I mean, you can have bladder issues, you can have a lot of complications that come with transgender. And if you don't believe me, watch a video of someone who detransitioned and have them talk about what they go through. I can't really say much about it because, well, I've never transitioned, so I've never experienced it. But there are people out there that have detransitioned, and I recommend, if you're a person who is looking into transitioning, that you should look at these videos before you do. Make sure you're making a decision that you can live with for the rest of your life. Because you might feel good in the moment, but then maybe you might regret it later on. Just be safe. I can't force you to not do what you want to do. If you want to transition, you're going to transition regardless of what I say. And if you're going to identify as some identity, you're probably going to do it regardless of what I say. But as a friend and as a person that wants the best for you, I would say don't transition. Weigh out the pros and cons before you do it. Make sure that it's something you can live with and that there aren't going to be really bad problems and situations you don't want to go into, because you can be in a lot worse unhealthy situations from these surgeries. So you just got to be careful. But another thing I want to talk about, and it is kind of related. It's related in the sense that there are other things that we pressure people on in society, and one is being an adult. Now, I've pointed this out. I'm wearing dinosaurs, and obviously the video games. So to most people, I look childish. And as you've probably watched many of my videos, you've probably seen stuffed animals in the background, the little baby rocker dude up there, poster guy. I got that because, well, I'm into metal and I like rock, and I'm a guy who deals with incontinence. So I thought it was cute and I put it on the wall. That's literally the only reason I got it. You might think I'm weird for that, but that's just me. I'm quirky like that. And some of the stuffed animals I've had since I was a kid. So I keep it around for memory's sake. And some my wife got me. So it's a gift. And of course, some of it is because I'm a nerd. I like Sonic, I like Yoshi, I like a lot of different things. Here's a few pics of things that I have. Video games, stuffed animals. But people often say if you're an adult, you need to watch more adult things. You can't watch cartoons. Cartoons are only for kids. And I hate this frame of mind. Why? Because it implies that only adult things are usually graphic, bloody, violent, filled with sex, and just vulgar. And we always think that that has to be adult. Now, I'm not necessarily against violence in movies. Sometimes violence is necessary to depict in a movie. But there is a point where it's becoming overindulgent in violence and just going crazy. And there are times where occasionally I watch a movie like that. And not in the more gore aspect. I hate horror movies that are really gory. Just not my thing. Never been my thing. If I watch horror movies, it's more like a psychological thing or a thriller. I'm more into stuff like that. That's just how I personally watch movies along that line. A movie that I would say I like that's in that realm would be The Hitcher, the 80s Hitcher movie. And I like movies like What Lies Beneath. These are type of horror that I tend to like. And yeah, occasionally there are movies with a little blood and gore. And occasionally I watch movies like that. But it depends on how gory it's going to be and how crazy it's going to be. Because I have my limits. There are just some things I'm not going to watch. But I'm also a guy who likes anime. I like a lot of different kinds of anime. And I like Disney movies from my childhood. Or just movies in general that are nerdy, like the Mario Brothers movie. I like that. And of course, I do watch horror movies occasionally. More creature features I like The Thing, Predator, Predator 2, Aliens, yeah. And I think we get to a place sometimes where we criticize people for liking innocent things, mainly because they probably don't want to watch a lot of gore and violence, and they don't find a lot of more family-friendly or just nice entertainment out there, because a lot of it is just vulgar and violent all the time. And what's geared to adults is just that a lot of the time. And not every movie needs to be that way, and not every thing I think we have to partake in has to be that way. And I think it's nothing wrong with a guy who wants to, or a girl that wants to dress innocent, cute, and adorable, as long as they're not being creepy about it. I do think sometimes we do have people in society that do dress that way to be creepy. But not every individual is like that, and we shouldn't assume that about every individual. And some people are just being who they always were since they were a kid. They're just quirky. That's who they are. And there's a lot of fashions today, like I think it's called I'm probably going to butcher it, Leota fashion, where girls dress in pastel colors and dresses and look more modest. Well, some people are criticizing them because they're saying it's kinky and it's sexual, when really they're just trying to be cute and adorable, wear cute, modest things. And what's wrong with that? There's people that can make anything sexual, sure, but does that mean that just because an adult does something that is more innocent and cute and trying to be more respectable and modest, that necessarily means that they are being kinky about it? Not necessarily. And I don't think we should be thinking that way about every adult, male or female, that we come across. We should let people be themselves. Like I've said, as long as being that thing is not going to harm them or bring them down to a route where they're disconnected from reality or not taking care of their responsibilities. Because you can be a mature adult and still like childish things. Because being an adult is taking care of your responsibilities and being a more mature person, learning to handle situations better as you grow as an adult. You know, for example, not yelling at people that disagree with you in a fight all the time because you disagree with them. That is growing and being more mature as you become an adult. And I think that people should be able to grow as an adult and still be the people they are. And some people are like this, wearing quirky things like this because they're creative. They're creative mindsets. And people are telling people, because people go so far with this. It's like, oh, you're drawing anime characters or superheroes or you're an artsy type person. Well, that's for kids stuff. That's not for adults. You shouldn't color or do crowns or art. You like anime. Well, that's only for kids. Something wrong with you if you are liking that thing. People just go way too far into extremes. But also people can go way too far in the other extreme where they think that because they're into these things, they have to identify as a child or a baby or be young in in like a mindset, like little space and stuff. And I'm not trying to like be mean to people that are into that, but I'm really saying you don't have to be that way just because you're into something. You don't have to embody a whole thing, identity, just because you're interested in something. And people like to judge people based on appearances, and they never ask what this person went through, how this person got to being this way. You know, maybe some of these people dealt with trauma in their life. They had a bad childhood, and they're just reliving their childhood because they want to experience the good things that they remember from their childhood, or they're trying to bring good memories into their life because they never had a good childhood. A lot of people do things for different reasons. And we shouldn't assume we know who a person is based on what appearances show. Now, yeah, sometimes there are things that are obvious, and people do exemplify the things they do believe, and that is true. But sometimes it's not always obvious. We need to have a little bit more fun in life. We need to enjoy things. Life doesn't always have to be serious all the time. We need some time to relax and revitalize and enjoy life a little bit. And also, we need to spend time with the creator of our universe. And that's Yahweh, God. We need to spend time with him, because you won't understand this world and life if you don't understand him. But also, we do need to not be so serious on ourselves all the time, and giving us unnecessary anxiety that we don't need in our lives, that we put on ourselves. We worry about a lot of things in this world, and yes, it's good to worry about things that are important in this world, and, you know, fighting for things, voting for things that we believe and we stand for. That's all great. But we shouldn't be consumed by politics all the time, or consumed by a lot of negativity all the time. We need some time away from that stuff and you know, clear our minds of the craziness, or give our minds a break, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be all like meditation-y or talk about like meditation. I'm not talking about that, because I don't really believe in meditation, like New Age meditation. I believe in a more biblical meditation, which is being in God's Word, reading His Word, thinking about His Word, and how to apply it to your life, that kind of thing. That's how I believe in meditation. Meditation's kind of a loaded word. But what I'm saying is we need to stop being so hard on ourselves and so hard on others. Especially for Christians, we need to learn not to judge people, especially if we're the ones doing that sin. We make judgments every day, and yes, there are evil things in this world, and we do need to talk about it. Things like human trafficking and a lot of terrible things that go on in this world, murder, the list goes on. And we do need to address those things, and we do need to call out bad things that are happening in this world. But we also shouldn't be jumping to conclusions with every person we meet, and we also shouldn't be harsh when we do talk about these things to every person we see, living a lifestyle that we don't approve of. Because we got to remember, as Christians, we were sinners too, and we still sin now. And as Christians, we are able to overcome sin because of the Holy Spirit. But that doesn't mean we're perfect, and we will make mistakes. We're going to sin, or we're going to struggle with sin. And we ain't going to go through a day in our lives when we don't sin, because it's in our nature. What I'm saying here is that we got to remember where we came from, and we got to remember that we're not as perfect as we like to think we are just because we're Christians. That we're just as much in a similar boat as the people we are condemning a lot of the times, people that we're against. People in the world who aren't Christians, the non-Christians, they are sinful, yes, but we were there too. And we still struggle with similar temptations, similar sins, just like they do. We're no different. We're not perfect. We're not better. We're not any better than they are. And we need to realize that more in our lives. We don't always know why people do things they do. Instead of judging them, instead of thinking they're weird, how about we get to understand them and get to know them instead of judging them immediately. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say today. God bless, peace out, and I'll see you in the next video.